Going Out of Our Minds, The Metaphysics of Liberation by Sonia Johnson. Part memoir, part theory, part New Age feminist spiritual guide, Going Out of Our Minds finds the reader going with Sonia Johnson on a metaphysical journey. We get kicked out of now, experience the joys of trashing, fast, run for president. She makes all these things seem so easy, so effortless. But she reveals they really aren't. They require a great deal of understanding, which can only be achieved through doing. The highlights of this book for me are the concepts of hearing into being, where women together would sit and force one another to speak uninterrupted for half an hour at least. Women sitting around them engaged in active listening. I was forced to examine how even in feminist spaces, often it is only certain women who dominate conversations, women like myself, because the way we have organized our events is through a patriarchal model where there are women who teach and those who listen, those who pretend to listen and wait for the time when they may respond, not necessarily to what was being said, getting out their pet topic or ideology. If women were forced to just sit and speak, whatever was their ideas were, right and wrong, we'd be far more powerful and dynamic in terms of where our thoughts could go. And a lot of the women doing this thought experiment were really surprised at how brilliant they ended up finding themselves to be. I loved reading Sonia's description of how she became a lesbian, essentially through falling in love with another woman. She'd written previously how she was quote-unquote hopelessly heterosexual, so to have her talk about the process of becoming a lesbian was heartening. She left off saying that no woman is hopelessly heterosexual, again hearkening to the power of our thoughts and the need to be in touch with our truest feelings. I loved her analysis of the work she did fighting for the Equal Rights Amendment and her scathing criticism of quote-unquote women's rights feminism. We need to stop looking for how to liberate ourselves using patriarchal means. These things are given to us as tools because they do not work. We need to stop focusing on changing the outer world and not ourselves. The book has multiple examples of how this looks. Women challenging one another to do more, speak up, be brave. She also really has a great thought experiment she got from her '84 presidential run, that we must all begin to think about what we would do if we were president. This type of mental exercise will show us how capable we really are. It demystifies powerful men and reminds us that they actually do not represent us at all, because almost no one doing this exercise will be in alignment with general presidential policy. This is a great thing to think about as we enter the next American presidential cycle. I also love that she made it clear that women stumping for the Democratic candidates are doing the work of the patriarchy just as much as women going to church are. We have to disengage our energy and resources from men's reality and go about the far more challenging work of creating our own. Some things I didn't like about the book was her use of language that praised motherhood, speaking of giving birth and midwifing the revolution. Talk of women's creative power only in reference to our reproduction really irritates me. And of course this language alienates women who are not mothers and those who wish not to be. And of course those who utterly loathe being mothers that are mothers. She also makes the point that she believes in the nurture versus nature argument when it comes to men and their propensity towards violence. It bothered me because she then went on to say women have to quote-unquote take their eyes off the guys and stop worrying about trying to change them. But it's obvious that this false hope that men will change is what keeps women continually chasing after men, focusing on them, giving resources that they really shouldn't be. I think it is also very clear that no one has socialized male otters to rape, murder, and terrorize, nor any other of the animal species, yet this is what they do. Why the separation of human and animal in her mind, especially if we're looking at things metaphysically? I also really loved her point that trashing is sadomasochism and is an addictive behavior. When I've seen trashing, it is often the same women doing it over and over and over again, addicted to the rush of putting another woman in her place. But also felt she maybe was a bit too love and light when it comes to how we approach other women. I think this is partially from her own background, an ex-het woman, housewife, and mother. It's easy to see how women like her do try to deflect criticisms of their own treatment of other women through the love every woman trope. I've seen it countless times. This also came after reading about how terribly fucked over she was by other women. It reads disjointedly, especially when later she's talking about female collaboration. I absolutely love that she went into how patriarchy could not exist without our participation. It's a very empowering challenge. Go out for our patriarchal minds and begin to create our very own feminist reality. So I would probably give this book 4 out of 5 stars. It was an entertaining read, and it was, yeah, it was entertaining. I really love books that go into details about people's lives, and I really love how she talked about her doing all of these little metaphysical experiments, and also how she separated it from like new age propaganda. I really liked that she was thinking like more occult than necessarily new age. That was pretty cool. So yeah, 4 out of 5 stars. Entertaining read. Didn't agree with everything in the book, but I definitely think there were a lot of nuggets of truth in it that were very soul nourishing. So yeah, I recommend this book. Go check it out.